Guys, welcome back to the channel. Thursday! It's already Thursday. We're almost to June. Life goes by fast. Pokemon life goes by fast. Life goes by fast. It's kind of crazy. Welcome back to the channel. Earn here. I buy, sell, trade, collect, vend. Buy, sell, trade, collect, vend. And this is a channel where I am here to speak my mind in a stream of consciousness that sometimes doesn't make any sense. And as such, I will say, the video I uploaded the other day, I think I may have been wrong. And by wrong, I mean, sometimes I get so high off of caffeine and I'm in such a mind state, such a flow that I forget the very obvious things. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, if you haven't liked, comment, subscribed in the first video on this channel, I don't care what you say. You can say you're here for the giveaway. You can say you're a bot. You can say you like my hair. You can say you like battle styles. I don't really care. Anything. If you've given any ounce of effort to do the thing that I just said, I will enter you into a giveaway to win Destined Rivals. I have a way of detecting people with multiple accounts and bots, so don't even try. I'm just kidding. I don't. Just commit there and I will enter you in and we'll pull someone after the release. When I get the booster box, it's going to cost me over MSRP, and so there you go. That's my way to give back as I start to grow this channel. We are pushing 900 subs, which is crazy because 5 weeks ago I decided to launch this thing, and although I've been a little inconsistent as of late, it still grows. It still pops up into people's sub boxes, and it's fascinating. I have looked at the channels that I overlap with, which isn't really a surprise considering there aren't that many people in this kind of general space of like how to invest, how to collect well, how to invest, sort of that kind of thing. So it's like the same channels you would expect. There's Alex, obviously, great channel, controversial points at times. Love watching it. I've talked to Alex a little bit. We're friendly. We have PokeNE. We have PokePlumber. We have Opossum Bud, which is interesting because I don't think I have a lot of the same opinions as Opossum Bud. Rudy, somehow, we'll take it. I mean, I'm happy to fly under the guise of everyone else. That's the way you grow, right? Dan, obviously. Java. Retro. Yeah, it seems like the people that you kind of know, or maybe have someone who knows those people, that's generally how your channel will grow. Anyway, Thursday. Let's talk about opportunity again, because I think in my Tuesday high, I was really keen on, hey, the message I really wanted to send out was like, hey, you don't have to FOMO. It's okay to wait. Like right now is really good time to make money if you already had product and if you can sell through product very quickly. But it's not a great time to park your money, invest, collect, invest, whatever you want to say, because everything is so elevated right now and there's so much tension in the market that, like, you know, for me too, humble brag, at this point, I've spent well over multiple six figures on product. A lot of that has been to save, store, collect, invest. Some of that has been to flip. And so I like to think I know a thing or two on, I wouldn't say running a Pokemon business. That's not the advice I'm trying to shed. It's more so like how to get the most out of your money and multiply it over time. And people call that investing. I like Pokemon Classics apostrophe message of like being a collector investor, because I actually think I'm more so that anti-investor Pokemon collector investor. Like, I truly like the things that I buy and I speculate on things that I enjoy. And so I think my position is really coming from like, hey, you're probably a new collector, new collector investor, whatever it is, right? If you're here for the long haul, I may have some tips for you. And I'm not saying the long haul of like, hey, 5 years from now, here's how much your portfolio is going to be. Please. I'm not, I'm not a finance bro in this space trying to do that. I am more so kind of a day in the life of someone who plans to be here for a long time, who enjoys the IP, who's collected and bought stuff. And so that's my perspective. The other day, I think I overgeneralized some aspects of there isn't that much opportunity. And lo and behold, maybe I can highlight this comment here if I'm not lazy and I want to actually do some editing. There was a comment that got upvoted that I actually fully agree with and I have been doing to an extent, and that's related to 151. So if you recall, I've been talking about, if you can, generally you want to buy booster boxes, duh. And if you can't buy booster boxes, you should buy ETBs, duh. 151 obviously is the exception, because 151 ETBs are worth more than their weight in just the packs. I think it was discovered, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe sooner than that, maybe a year ago, no, 6 months ago or so, that the general quantity of 151 ETBs was like quite low. Dare I say short printed? No, because it's the wrong word to say. I have no idea even how to define that. But the general availability of the ETB over time has become much more hard to find. Let's just say it's scarce. And so the 151 ETB has, a pretty decent premium on it because it's just harder to find. And it's weird for me to say because back then it wasn't that hard to find. But as time has kind of gone on, it feels like the 151 set, the 151 ETB has been in a hyperbolic time chamber like in Dragon Ball, and it's just accelerated super fast to the point where it's harder to find and it's not as plentiful. And so I would say that's the exception here in terms of wanting to buy something that's going to store value and grow over time very quickly. 151 ETBs are probably not to buy because they're too expensive. However, this is where booster bundles, and this is probably, no, I shouldn't say probably. This is one of the few times that a booster bundle, I would say, is a great purchase. And I'll explain why I overlooked this. So I have two friends. One of them lives in Europe. One of them lives here. And for the last few months for one of them, and then the last 6 months for the other, I've been sourcing 151 booster bundles for them to resell. And part of it's because price arbitrage for them. One of them can't get it that cheap in their country, and another one can't get it cheap from where they live. And so I've been buying this product over and over again. And I don't have that much in the treasure chest. I have like 30, I think, which to me is not a lot. Like I paid like $30 back then. So I had the full intention of holding these things because I think 151's a great set. And the demand's always been high. But it didn't cross my mind to share that information, honestly, because I kind of just wrote off, 151 because I had bought it a long time ago. I'm not actively buying it to store. I was or am actively buying it to sell out to friends. And so that's actually my bad, my oopsie. And I'm very okay admitting that. I think 151 is probably, of the things that you could buy, it is definitely at the top of the list for me. You can still get it for around $9 to $10 a pack. The bundles sell for about $60 to $65 if you know where to look. I'm not going to share that information, but I don't think it's private information. And you got to look at 151 similar to how, I don't know, Hidden Fates was, where Hidden Fates hit certain plateaus in price and stayed there for a while. 151 is approaching, 2 years old? 2020? Yeah, September, about 2 years old. It's been at $10 a pack, $9 to $10 a pack for a few months now.
They're right onto 10th Street.
And they keep saying there's reprints, they keep saying there's more supply, they keep saying there's more coming to market. And that all makes sense. But there's going to be a point, I think, probability-wise, we're playing probabilities again, that they will stop printing it. And when they stop printing it, there's a very strong likelihood, sorry, I gotta pick my nose, that $10 a pack price point will probably go up. So I feel confident that 151, given the current market price, which $10 a pack, it's not cheap. The amount of they're printing, there is a surplus in the market right now. It feels like there'll be a point when they stop printing, supply dries up, that price per pack is probably going to, I don't like making these predictions, but I'm going to say it. I think it's going to skyrocket. Only because the demand for 151, I have never seen anything like it. Like, people love the set. People still enjoy ripping the set. And it's an expensive set. And unlike some of the other sets that have skyrocketed in price, like from $4 a pack to $8 a pack, $5 a pack, $10 a pack, I think 151 is still the one that's consistently selling at a price where if and when supply does go away or gets dwindled, the market's going to overreact and they're going to be very excited and demand is going to continue up. And so there you have it. Like, that is the one thing I would say now, that if, you know, and let me just share something that I'm thinking about. I am this close.
In 500 feet, take the US 101
This is small, by the way.
South ramp on
I'm this close
San Jose
from just absolutely yeeting everything that I have. All the sealed that is appreciated, minus some sword and shield. So my sun and moon stuff that I've held for a long time, some Japanese stuff. I'm this close from selling as much of it as I can and just buying a bunch of 151. I'm seriously that close, because in my head, let's take my boxes of Cosmic for example. My cost basis is about $700. So let me do accurate math. So 4 at 1,000, 1 at 21, at 1950. Let's just say 2003. So I'm at 5 at $600 a box. Okay. I've already broken even and realized 5, 10 to 12x. No, that's not accurate at all. 5x my average price per box, right? Cosmic hasn't had a confirmed sale over 2,500. The low list right now is like 3,000 to 3,300. So in my head, it's like, okay, do I think Cosmic is going to get to 5K? Probably one day. And if so, how soon? How fast? Let's say it goes from 3,000 low list today to 5,000. That is a 40% increase. 40%? 2,000? No, that's 66%. Sorry, I can't count. Okay, you follow me? 3,000 to 5,000. 2,000 out of 3,000 is 66%. 66% increase. Okay, and that's where I'm at today. That's a $3,000 box-ish. If I buy 151, do I think it's going to get to from $10 to $16 faster than Cosmic will get to 5,000? With the way the current market is, there is not a lot of demand for Cosmic. And let me just put that in perspective. By that, I mean, yes, people are buying it at the high price point, but the sales volume is nothing compared to 151. It's nothing compared to the amount of there's no boxes for it, booster packs that are opened and sold on a daily basis. So, you know, one thing I learned very early throughout my journey in this fantastic, fun hobby, that I think a lot of the people out there who are buying PC ETPs need to understand: net margin, although it is important, it is not as important, I would say, as liquidity. And that is a key thing I've learned time and time again. Just because you can buy one thing that you can sell for 500% doesn't mean you can buy 10 of them. Doesn't mean you can expect, you know, that 500% times 10. And why I bring that up is, even though Cosmic is so valuable right now, I don't think I could sell it at 2,500 or 2,700 tomorrow. I'm sorry, I don't think I could sell more than one tomorrow. I think it would take me days, maybe a week, to sell all of them, either at market or even if I wanted a little bit of premium, I probably wouldn't be able to get it. And so this is a variable, I think, as you get into this hobby, you're deciding what to collect, invest, whatever you want to call it, right? That you need to carefully calculate is how much in demand will this product that you have be in the future? And some things to consider are price point in the future. Once you get past 1,000, not everything is super liquid, right? And it doesn't matter what the item is. It's just more so like the buyer pool is really small. Existing liquidity. So Pokemon Center ETVs are a good example of this. I think a lot of people believe that because the current market price is so high, it means that in the future, there'll be even higher market price and that demand will also keep up. And this is the concept of trying to understand, like, does demand and price infinitely scale? They don't, right? And so the thing you have to optimize for is existing liquidity, because you have control over that. You can pick certain things that you like that are also selling well today. And it's not indicative of future liquidity necessarily, but there's a good chance that it is highly correlated, highly related, right? Overnight, right? A booster box or a set that isn't selling well today probably isn't going to sell well 5 years from now, or any better 5 years from now. It will still sell, don't get me wrong, and there will be a market price that is probably higher, but the buyer pool and the general demand is going to be much less than it is today. And that doesn't always happen, but again, probabilities, understanding what's likely to happen, that's probably going to happen, right? If you take like Hidden Fates, for example, there are far less people buying Hidden Fates today than there were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago when I was back in the hobby. The set was still on fire. And so going back to the 151 booster bundle and 151 packs and comparing that to Cosmic, I am this close to making that decision. And I think it'll come down to, can I get a solid price on Cosmic? Or maybe I need to look around, start selling some more
In
Paldea,
1 mile,
Scarlet and
keep
Violet.
left to stay
It's going
on
for $300,
Boulevard
or maybe
101
selling
South.
some, I don't know, Japanese booster boxes. I have a lot of random Sword and Shield booster boxes to offload. Starbirth, Silverlance, Jet Black, maybe some VMAX, Climax. I have a lot of different options here. Point is, and I learned this a lot I hear this a lot from a guy I've watched for many years, collect Pokemon. He's out of Hong Kong. He makes very interesting content about his business and what he's buying, what he's selling. He gets accused of pumping the market, even though he's like very honest with what he does. He just made a video, I think last night or today, talking about how he's not spending money. He's actually just moving from one aged asset, one aged product like Evolving Skies, Cosmic, and moving that into stuff that he wants to buy today. And as you continue to grow and collect and have this massive, like, amazing product, eventually you'll want to figure out, okay, is it better to hold a $1 bill, or is it better to break it up into 4, or even sometimes you can get a premium 5 quarters? Because when people trade up, when people want something that's more expensive, they're okay taking a loss on what they have and trading up and being charged a premium. And so these are the variables to weigh, right? I think for me, I don't know. I have a hard time right now because I do have a lot of cash locked up, and some of this is work. I got to go find a buyer. I got to go send them pictures. Got to make sure they like the wrap. All these different things come into play, that when you hold something that's a little bit more expensive, yes, you can get more for it, obviously, but the buyer pool typically is smaller, obviously, but they're also a little bit more picky. And I'll tell a story of what I did in February. I had a team up box that I was consigning for my friend Lamb. and it had like a gash in it, like a tear on the top. Quite unfortunate, quite sad. It had a StockX. I think you got it from StockX or Sneaker Dunk. I forget. It had a sticker on top, and where the sticker was, it was covering up like a tear, and sucks. I know. And at the time, Team Up was going for 4,000. I took that box and I consigned it for him, and I was trying to sell it at first online to some friends, no bites, and then I took it to a local show to get it consigned. I had it marked at like 20%, I think, below market at the time. This is before, so February. This is like in the middle of the boom, I guess. But a lot of the Sun Moon stuff was on the rise, but not exploding yet. I couldn't sell it. It took me until I think the second day where I met some guys out of Sacramento who do box breaks, and they saw it, haggled a bit, I stood firm, and they came back and then they bought it. But I had the thing on display all weekend. So my point is, like, sharing that is, it's not always this no-brainer. I had this thing so expensive, someone's gonna buy it. Oh my God, I can't wait to have that expensive thing. It's gonna be worth so much one day. It's not really how it works, right? I think people really get. I'm gonna go this way, dude. Why am I seeing all this traffic for no reason? People really get infatuated with things that are worth more money because they think that that's the end all be all. But when you learn to sell and you have these expensive things, you learn that there are more challenges that come into play the more expensive the things that you have. And it's not always as easy as you think. So there's a sweet spot, right? There's a sweet spot. Talk, man. What's wrong with you? There's a sweet spot between what's too much and what's enough. And liquidity is kind of doesn't always map this way, but it's kind of like in the middle somewhere, like maybe a couple hundred, several hundred. When you get to 1,000 plus, like a different buyer pool, you'll figure out over time. Just bear in mind that it's not always cut and dry, not always straightforward. There's a lot of nuance. And just like my opportunity calling, where I said there's no opportunity, there's obviously nuance depending on the set, time, where we are in the market, and all those sorts of things. So, I'm going to switch gears to talk about a topic for the remaining part of my drive that has nothing to do with what I talked about so far. But I think it's important to talk about because it's very unfortunate, and that is straw manning. If you're not familiar with the straw man concept or idea, it is when you make, how do I explain this? You make up or overemphasize people, a group of people, an ideology, in order to prove your point. And maybe that's not the best way to explain it, but let me give you an example. If I say all investors are dirty, filthy, and they go to Target and they scalp, and they're online and they're talking about how bad collectors are, I am strawmanning. Because although there might be people in the world that do that, I'm overemphasizing that these people exist in order to make my point that investing is bad, right? So that's just one example. Another example is I could say, collectors are just such crybabies that all they care about is the art of a card, and they complain online about MSRP because they never get what they want because all they care about is themselves. That's straw manning because I'm overgeneralizing what maybe someone has done, maybe what a couple people have done to emphasize my point that collectors are blah. And so I bring this up because there's so much content these days where, and I'll be honest, I think I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of people I know are guilty of this, but I think it's just natural human tendency and behavior. When you're not on the same side as another group of people, you totally, what am I saying? You like to overgeneralize who they are, what they do, how they think. And at the end of the day, you don't know these people. You're not even talking about a specific person. You're mashing together a group of people just to make your point. And I just want to talk about that because it's happening so much these days. Look, I think, one thing I've heard as of late was like the people who are talking about short printing, which, what does that even mean? Why aren't people asking that? I don't even know what adequate printing is. So how can something be short printed? The idea is that like people who are talking about short printing are also driving the agenda because they're selling products themselves. I feel like I just ate a sour warhead. What? What are we talking about? It's that kind of content that I think the hobby, you got to be very careful, because it's this kind of behavior, and it's not even in cards, it's in real life. When it's about us versus them, me versus you, they're doing this, therefore I am right. It's that kind of behavior, whether it's innocent or not. This is what creates divide amongst people, whether it's race, culture, religion, wealth, whatever, right? Like, I would just be very careful as you are in the hobby and you hear more about this from different content creators, because honestly, we're just making up. What I've learned is like, we're just making up who these people are. And if you interview anyone, you sit down with them. And again, I got to call out the Pokemon Classics video because he made a great video about collector investors. Collector investors, hyphen. We are all part of all of these people that are being called out. I myself have done retail arbitrage. I myself have invested. I myself have bought 20 copies of a card because I'm an addicted collector. I myself would not classify myself as any one of those groups because I am my own individual. And I think it's super important for you, especially if you're new, as you look into the hobby and you hear this content, just remember one thing. You cannot overgeneralize people into one group, no matter how you feel about them. It is a way, it will only block and hinder your ability to really understand where people are coming from the more you think like that. And there's the content creators out there that make that content. I understand it's about clicks and views, but honestly, I think there needs to be more accountability in the space and just, I don't know, what do you say, growing up? Like, it's funny. And I get a lot of people who have grown up in this era, watched a lot of content, and have been online warriors off and on. You would never say half the stuff that you see online in person. It's like people really like the guise that the internet gives them and how it pseudo empowers them to be in a position where they can demonize a group of people that they don't know and they don't understand. And if I close this out with one thing, I would say the world needs way less of this and more understanding. Clickbait culture, clickbait thumbnails, agenda pushing. This is all stuff that it prevents people from getting together. It prevents people from getting to know each other. It prevents things from moving forward. So that's my spiel. Be careful in the content that you watch. Very rarely is a generalization of people is ever true. It's probably never true. And at the end of the day, be kind to each other. Buy Crimson Haze. And of course, just be careful with your money. Like, you're in it for the long haul. The last thing you want to do is go into the hobby thinking it's this people or that people, or those people are bad and these people are crybabies. And, it's just like, it's not conducive to a fun hobby, to be honest with you. So, it is what it is. Creators want to create content they want. The great thing is, though, you have a choice. You can decide who you want to watch and why you want to watch them. And that said, I think that's it. That's all I got. So, hopefully you learned a thing too today. I have backtracked my statement on there's an opportunity. There's some. A little bit. Some that I feel good about. Oh, also, in the link down below, on Tuesday, I had a podcast with Josh and Retro. Check it out if you want. Just three old guys talking about the market, ranting, arguing with each other. We talk a lot about a lot of different things, including grading, tag, the current state of the market, investing, and a few other topics. I think it was a good cast. I enjoyed talking to those guys. It's always good to get along with friends, get together with friends, and definitely worth a watch. I will say there's a couple things that came out of that podcast that I wanted to just quickly highlight. Surging Sparks, Retro's buying. I actually don't disagree. I think it's, if I had to make a choice, I don't think that's a bad buy. Astral, I don't think that's a bad buy. I think that's basically it. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching. This has been fun. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe in the first video on the channel. I'll be picking a winner for Destined Rivals. And I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.